Hi there, Buick owners. Today in your 2021 Buick Encore GX, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install Roadmaster's towed vehicle charge line kit. A battery charge line kit will take the charging system on your motorhome, use the auxiliary charging port on your 7-way connector to trickle charge our battery here when you're flat towing your vehicle down the road. This is really useful for a variety of vehicles, and it's a component that I would honestly recommend on basically every flat tow setup. Some of your flat tow setups require the battery to remain connected, and sometimes even with the key in the accessory position when flat towing it. A charge line kit will ensure that the battery stays topped up when it's in that state. Now, like on our Buick here, this one, actually you disconnect the battery when you're flat towing, so you think, well, hey, the battery's disconnected, how can my battery drain? But when you're flat towing your vehicle, you do have some additional components that are installed, such as a supplemental braking system. And that braking system actually uses the power from your battery in many cases to activate that system. So on long trips, if you're driving for 8 hours, every time you hit the brakes, you activate that system, you could actually drain the battery down by the time you get to your destination. And having a charge line on there will ensure that when you get to your destination, your vehicle is going to be able to just fire right up and you're going to be able to do the things you want to do. And it's also going to ensure that in the event of like a catastrophic disconnect over a really long trip or something like that, and you're starting to discharge your battery, that you've got enough charge on your battery left to be able to activate and stop this vehicle in those emergency events. For your charge line kit installation, the first thing you're going to want to do is mount up the circuit breaker that comes in your kit. We decided to mount ours here on the driver's side. You kind of got this pillar here, it's fairly open, nothing behind it. So we can take the 2 self-tapping screws that come in the kit, just hold our circuit breaker here, just right up to the paneling. It's kind of like resting on top of the little lip there, and then just run those in place. We used an 8mm socket to just run it right into the metal there. So now we've got our circuit breaker mounted up. You're going to get some red wire in your kit. Connect a ring terminal to one end of the red wire and attach it to the bronze post. It's labeled battery also if you look on it here. The silver one's labeled auxiliary. So now we've got that hooked to the bronze post with our wire attached to it. It is loose for now. We'll come back and we'll snug these up later. I just do it hand tight for now. And then the wire from here we're going to route up to the front of the vehicle to where we're going to have our 6-way connector. For us, we pretty much just go forward. We get to about this point right here, and then it goes down, and then we can pull it forward the rest of the way until it comes out the front. After you route the wiring down, there's a couple of screws right there that you can take out with a number 15 T15 Torx socket, and that'll let you kind of just peel a little piece of the fabric back, and then you can get your arm in there a little bit easier to get this wire over to this direction here. So once we've got it over here routed towards the center, this is where we're going to mount up our 6-way. The base plate that's installed on this vehicle has a mounting location for the 6-way connector, so that makes things easy for us. Now we got tons of excess here on this wire, so we are going to trim this. We're going to need the rest of this wire to finish up our connections up top, so don't get rid of it. I'm just bringing it over, giving myself, make sure I got plenty there to work with, and then go ahead and trim off the excess. And again, we're going to save that. We'll just set it aside for now. Now we'll need to take each of these wires and strip them back. And the reason we only hooked up one side of our circuit breaker over there for now is so that way this wire is not live. If you hook up the other end of the battery, this wire's live, and then you could potentially cause a short and sparks go flying. So just hook up the one side like we did there and then route it up here. If you're hooking up a full 6-way and you've got some other wires there, go ahead and strip those back too. We're going to be hooking up a full 6-way connector here, so you'll get to see all of it. So we're going to get each one of these stripped back so we can make our connections. We'll now take our 6-way connector here. It has a rubber boot on the back. Pull your boot off and go ahead and slide that into place here. Just slides over all your wires. Push that up in there for now so that way it stays out of our way. And then you can take your 6-way connector here and we're going to loosen up all the attachment points that we need. Now for our charge line kit, the only one that really concerns us there is our center post. So we're going to go ahead and remove the center post from that. The rest of our wires are going to use different ones, but they are all labeled. So we're going to go ahead and just start with the one labeled GD, which is ground. That's our white wire for our diode wiring. Next is LT, that's left turn, that'll be our yellow wire. Next is RT, that's right turn, that'll be our green wire. S you'll skip, and then we'll move on to TM, which is for our brown wire. Now at this point we're just going to take each of those wires and slide them into the respective spot and tighten the screw back down. I am going to double check the depth because you want to be able to insert the wire all the way to where there's no exposed threads, but make sure that when you tighten the screw down, you're not tightening it onto the sheathing. It won't give you good contact. You want basically the sheathing to be right there at the top. And then we'll snug our wire down. All right, and then we're just going to repeat that for the rest of our connections here. Now that we've got all of our connections made, we are going to seal up our connector with some dielectric grease. You can get some here at etrailer if you need some. We're going to be pretty generous with it here because we don't want moisture getting in here and ruining the hard work we just did. So that'll keep out corrosion for us. Get that all gooped up. Then we can take our dust boot here, slide that back over, just like that. And then I like to use some electrical tape to tape it up, just to seal it on there. Kind of keeps the boot from sliding off. And after I seal it on this end, I am going to do the other end as well, just to try to keep that grease in there, keep our dust boot in place. And if you have a little bit of conduit like this here, wire loom, you can use that as well to kind of make it look prettier. We're going to be using a little bit of that to hide the various color wires here at the front of the vehicle. After that, you can go ahead and get your 6-way connector mounted. We just use the self-tapping screws that came with the base plate to mount it up right to the base plate attachment point. We'll head back up now and finish up our connection at the battery. So we're back up here. We're going to take the extra wire that we had, strip back one end of that extra wire, and then take the small ring terminal that comes in your kit, same size, so it slides over your studs there, and go ahead and crimp this onto your wire. We can then remove the nut from the silver post, slide our wire in place, and reinstall the nut. Okay, now this is when I like to go back and tighten these down. It's not live, we can get to both of them, so we're going to grab ourselves a 3/8 socket and tighten it down. So we're just going to snug them up here. I like to hold the wires just a little bit, just so I can keep the direction of the wire the same as we're tightening it down. All right, got both of those made. So now we're going to run this over to our battery positive connection. Now, we've got a battery disconnect installed. So a lot of times if you got a battery disconnect installed, it's actually really difficult to get to the battery positive on the battery. So we usually just hook it to the always live side of our battery disconnect switch. But with this particular vehicle, we actually have really good access to the battery positive side, regardless of this battery disconnect being installed. So we're going to run it straight to the battery since it works out nicely on this particular vehicle. So I'm just kind of routing the wire over towards there. It's going to end up going in the opening here and attaching right to that stud. Just getting kind of the excess out of the way, making sure that our wire's got a safe path to get over there easily. And this looks like this is probably a pretty good amount right here to allow us to make that. So I'm just going to put a little bend in it so I know where it is. We'll trim off our excess. Then we'll strip back our wire. And this one is going to get a larger ring terminal. This guy here, so you can fit over the stud okay. Just go ahead and slide this into place, crimp it down. And then we'll grab ourselves a 13mm socket to remove the nut. After we get the nut off there, I'm trying to hold all the cables on there because they do like to just kind of pop off there. There we go, slide that into place. Reinstall the nut. And we've now got our charge line kit fully installed. At this point, when you go to plug into your motorhome, as long as your motorhome's running, you'll be using the charging system on your motorhome to trickle charge your battery here. So it's really nice because your braking system components and things like that can drain the battery over a long trip. This will ensure that it stays topped up. And that completes our installation of Roadmaster's battery charge line kit on our 2021 Buick Encore GX.